right, thank you guys for being here tonight to learn a little bit more about the athletic training program that we have here at UNF. I am open to any questions, and I have a couple of students here to also give their perspective on the program. So we're just going to go through some information about our program, but first I just want to make sure we're all on the same page as to what an athletic trainer is, because some people are not so sure. But so we are healthcare professionals, right? And we work under the direction of a physician or in collaboration with a physician. And then here are just the services that we can provide as an athletic trainer. And so injury and illness prevention, wellness promotion, and education, emergent care. I think this is one of the areas that really distinguishes us from physical therapists, because physical therapists don't do that emergent care on the acute care on the sideline. They're not taught that information. Examination and clinical diagnosis, therapeutic intervention, and then your rehabilitation. So employment settings. So we can work in various settings, right? And so what you probably see the most is going to be your collegiate population. And so working with collegiate athletics, so about 20% of the population of athletic trainers work in that setting, and about the same percentage for high schools. Okay, healthcare clinics, hospitals, again, that's starting to grow more. We have professional sports. That's one of our alumni, Robbie, in that picture. And then emerging settings, too. So we think about occupational health, industrial settings, performing arts, military, those sorts of things. I know that doesn't add up to 100%. The rest are students that are part of our national organization. But so that's where you see everyone, sort of the makeup of where most people are working. And so you probably know this, but you may not. The only way to become an athletic trainer in the United States is to go through Acadia accredited athletic training program. So we are accredited through 2028, 2029. So y'all are good. You wouldn't have to worry anything about that. And then secondly, you have to, once you are going through an accredited program, in your last semester, you can take the Board of Certification exam. And so that's the BOC exam. So once you pass that, you can be a certified athletic trainer, but then you have to figure out what the licensure is in the state you choose to work. So in the state of Florida, you have to be licensed to work as an athletic trainer. So job outlook for athletic training. Okay, so the U.S. Department of Labor thinks it's going to grow about 19%. And so it's growing fast. It's a healthcare profession, and people are really seeing the need for athletic trainers. And then right now, the median salary for athletic trainers is about $51,000. So the hope is that that's going to continue to increase as more people are coming out and having master's degrees. And I'm ahead of myself on saying that. But so for our UNF curriculum, so sort of how we do our coursework. So students will start in the summer, and so we start summer B with classes, which is end of June is when classes start. And at that time, you do not have any clinical responsibilities at all, okay? And so you will go through a gross anatomy class, which is one of the classes that our students seem to like the most. And then you have a foundations class in athletic training. And so it's just understanding the basic skills of an athletic trainer, learning some taping techniques and such. But so that is during your first summer, okay? And then you will then have a fall, spring, and you'll progress through courses. You can review this information on our website. But that summer in between your first year and your second year, there are no courses during that time. So if you want to pursue some type of professional internship or of that, anything of that sort, you can pursue that during that time. This is the time when a lot of our students like to, they have the opportunity to work with the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So a lot of them do that during the summer, and they have that off to do so. The other thing I want to point out is that our curriculum, so it's 54 credit hours, and if you look at our program and compare it to other programs across the state or across the United States, ours is a little bit less than others. It's not because we're taking away any type of education from what you should have. We did it intentionally in that we know that graduate education is a little more expensive than undergrad. And so if we keep the credit hours down a little bit more, then it saves you money. So that was our intent, but in no way I don't want people to think that you're not going to get a class because we're cutting you short. We're going to give you that education. We just tried to keep the hours a little bit lower. So from a clinical education standpoint, what you learn in the classroom, and all of our classes are always in the morning. You may go a little bit into the afternoon, but all classes are always in the morning, and then you enhance what you learn in the classroom with your clinical education. And so you're expected to be out at a clinical site in the afternoon, sometimes weekends, sometimes mornings before class. It just depends on what you're assigned. Okay, and so our students will gain experience in a variety of settings. So what's listed up there are the various settings that we have agreements with or contracts with where our students can go out to site. So professional sports, at this time, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars is the one professional sport, but any public or private high school around the Jacksonville area, if they have a certified athletic trainer, we're typically sending students there. And the cool thing about that is a lot of the individuals in the community that are athletic trainers are graduates of our programs and have a really good understanding of the faculty that are here, but also our expectations of students. So university colleges, so we send students here to UNF, but we can go down to Flagler, and then Jacksonville University we send students to also. We have some outpatient orthopedic clinics, so like your physical therapy clinics, family practice clinics. Our medical director for our program owns his own family practice clinic. He did a sports medicine fellowship, so he has a great knowledge and appreciation for athletic trainers. And then industrial settings. So we have 2 industrial sites that have hired athletic trainers that students can go and they can work in those settings too. All right, so one thing that's changed if you ever talk to somebody that went through an undergraduate program is that we are now required to provide some type of immersive clinical experience. And what I mean by that is that there will be 2 times when you're in this program where you basically are not in class and you are fully immersed in your clinical setting. And so you're supposed to work the day in, day out of what an athletic trainer is doing. And so it's supposed to give you more of an appreciation of what's going to be required of you once you graduate and become an athletic trainer. So in our program, I mentioned this, so we will have 2 immersive experiences. The first, and this is important to know because I said you don't have classes in between that summer, between your 2 years, but you are required to be back because you will do a preseason immersive experience. So that starts 4 weeks prior to the start of fall classes. So you will need to be back in the Jacksonville area. We say mid-July, and maybe a little bit earlier depending on what your site is. But that is for you to get experience with what happens during preseason, what happens when student athletes come back and maybe they're not, they didn't train at all over the summer. So you're going to see different things, but also you're going to see those 2-a-day practices and things like that. So that's your first immersive experience. And your second is actually in your last semester in the program. So the first half of that semester you'll have class, and the second half is you're supposed to select a site or tell us sort of where you expect your career, what setting you want to work in. And so we will then put you at a site that will help you transition to practice where you want to work. Okay. So the application process. So some of you guys have looked at this, and I'm not going to go into great detail on this because it's all on our website. But you must submit all materials through ATCAS, which is a centralized application system online. But there's also materials that you have to submit to the UNF Graduate School. And some of it is redundant. You have to submit transcripts to both. I will say the most work that has to be put in is going to be through ATCAS. And so if you have yet to start that process, I would say start it sooner than later. But all your letters of recommendation and things like that go through ATCAS. And so that's where you should start looking now. And then you can start working on the UNF Graduate School information, which requires you pay a fee, your transcripts, a letter of intent, and that's it. So, that's a quick process. And so once your application is submitted through ATCAS, and I see that your application has been submitted through the UNF Graduate School, we will review your application, and then we will contact you about scheduling an interview as long as you meet all of our requirements. If you are missing prereq classes and things like that, I might follow up with you, but if you meet all of our requirements, someone will reach out to you to schedule a time for an interview. We do rolling admissions, so if you submitted all your stuff tomorrow, you could get contacted next week to do an interview. Okay, and then typically after the interview, we typically make decisions within 3 weeks on the candidates that we've interviewed. So again, if you applied tomorrow and I called you next week and we scheduled your interview for middle of October, you could know in November if you were offered admission into the program or not. Okay? So that's all I'm going to really say. I get a lot of questions on prerequisite classes. And so these are our prerequisite classes that you need to have. You can apply if you're still in one of these classes. If you're offered admission, your admission is contingent on you successfully completing those classes. If you apply now and you say, well, I'm going to take physics in the spring, that's fine. You just need to provide me proof that you are going to enroll or you can enroll in physics in the spring. And I will continue to follow up with you on that. Okay, but so if we get to the start of our classes in Summer B and you have not completed all these successfully, then you're not going to start the program. Okay, so we can admit you if you haven't finished all these, but it will be contingent on you completing those. And if you ever have a question on if a class you've taken doesn't meet our prerequisite requirement, if you email me and send me a course description with the course that you took, I'm happy to tell you if that meets our requirements. Okay. All right, so tuition and scholarship information. So tuition, so for in-state students, this is just math. That's all I did. Okay, so if you take 54 credit hours and it's about $500 per credit hour, you're looking at about $27,000. Now, there is a perk for current UNF students. They have given a discount on graduate tuition if you're a current UNF student. And so you can see your cost per credit hour is about $360. And so you get about a third of a discount, 30% discount on your tuition if you enroll in a graduate program. For out-of-state students, it's about $56,000, and that's just, again, doing the math. Okay, the one good thing that we have, graduate school is expensive, but we do have scholarships that are available that are specific to AT students. So the Jacksonville Jaguars Foundation has provided funding for our students, and so we offer those each year. You have to apply in the summer, but there are scholarships. It's partial. It's not going to fully fund you. And so that is an opportunity. And then the Brooks College of Health also has additional scholarship opportunities. So there are some things you can do to offset that. We also have graduate assistant opportunities, but we don't know from year to year how many graduate assistant opportunities we will have. If you're admitted, I will notify you of those opportunities, and you can apply. And those applications are due in May of each year. So you would have to apply pretty early to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Megan Peter from the graduate school to talk more about funding.
Okay, thank you. As Dr. Boling stated, I'm from the graduate school at UNF, so I'm going to talk about 4 opportunities that are available through the graduate school specifically. I am not from financial aid, and I'm not well versed in financial aid, so if you have any questions regarding loans or those types of things, I can help you get in contact with somebody who can work with you, but unfortunately I couldn't answer that well here. When we talk about what's available through the graduate school, we're talking about fellowships, grants, and scholarships, which are to us pretty much synonymous in that it's free money. So the ones that we're going to talk about specifically today, the first one is the Graduate Research Grant. This one is designed for students who have completed at least 9 hours in their program, and as you can see, it's for research, creative activities, clinical experience, or disseminating the results of research. Most often we get requests from students for this grant who want to present at a conference. So they've applied and been accepted as a presenter, and they need assistance in getting to the conference, lodging, those types of things. So master's students can only receive 1 award, doctoral 2. We do have a 3.5 program GPA requirement for this because funding can be competitive for this grant. We have a lot of students who travel who are actively involved in research. And we also allow students to apply 1 term in advance. So if you are traveling to a conference, let's say in the spring, but you want to go ahead and reserve your flight and everything in the fall, you can apply for those funds in the fall. You do have to be registered in at least 1 hour in the term in which you receive the funding. And again, you can go to our site and see all this information too. I don't expect you to remember everything as we go through. The second one, the graduate school grant, this one's really designed for our incoming students. So students who have students can apply to this grant if they've applied to the institution. So your admission can be pending, and you can go ahead and still apply for this. It's a fall-spring award, and we do look for a graduate admission GPA of 3.0. Here at UNF, when we recalculate your admission GPA, we're looking at the last 60 hours. So that includes if you've done any transfer work, let's say you graduated and you went and did your prereqs at another institution, we're just going to go back to the last 60 and calculate your GPA from that point. So what we're looking for there is that admission GPA of at least 3.0. And there is a full-time enrollment requirement. Now, for us, full-time, for graduate students, full-time is 9 hours. Your program may say full-time enrollment is 6, but we're really looking at that 9 hours. And for anything less than that, well, down to the 6, it'll prorate. Is everybody getting undergraduate funding, loans, scholarships? So you're familiar when I say prorate and all the kind of adjustments that have to occur? Okay.
And Megan, they will never have less than, well, I guess the summer they would, but fall, spring, they would never have less than that.
Than the 6?
Or 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6, well, for those of you who get awards now, you know that that's kind of like that magic number for financial aid that you need to be enrolled in those at least 6 hours, so that's very good. The Dolores Zen Fellowship, this is actually a statewide fellowship that's available to all students. What it's really focusing on students who are full-time. Again, we're looking for the 3.0 program GPA, but in a discipline in which there is underrepresentation. And that's really discipline specific. Nursing, for example, males are underrepresented. So students we encourage everyone to apply because we're really then looking at the demographics of each program. Along with the application, we also do request a letter, or basically a personal statement explaining how you are working towards your educational goals. So this is actually part of a committee review, and they're looking at also 2 letters of recommendation. So this is another great one because this funding is available for 2 years. So recipients of this award are funded for 2 years, which can be significant in a graduate program. This last one is newer to us, the Jim and Millie Milligan Family Foundation Presidential Fellowship, which has not gotten any easier to say. $5,000 split between fall and spring, again, so that summer award is excluded. But it's for active graduate students who are admitted and enrolled in a graduate program. It does require 9 hours of full-time enrollment. This is not one where we're allowed to prorate. It's dependent on the Milligans who generously donated. So this one, while the award is larger, it does require the full-time enrollment. And again, looking for a program GPA of 3.0. And here at UNF, when we say program GPA, we mean the grades you earned while you're in your current program. So if for any reason you shifted from one master's to another, we're looking only at your current program for that GPA. So how to apply, if you go to our website, it's actually a big box in the corner that says award opportunities, and you can click on each one and see when the deadlines are. I encourage you, especially the graduate grant, go out and start looking at that early, because again, you can apply for that if you just applied to the institution, so you don't have to be admitted, but go ahead and just be familiar with this site and the various deadlines, because they do change. Dr. Boling already discussed our exclusive tuition rate for UNF students, so this is in effect for students if you matriculate into your graduate program within 3 terms of graduating with your bachelor's degree. So if you're graduating this fall, if you'd start this coming summer, then you'd be eligible for the decreased rate, and you remain eligible as long as you stay an active student in the program. So it is a good reduction over the overall graduate tuition cost. The fees are still included, but this is just what we're hoping is an incentive to ease the burden. So does anyone have any questions in general, even about the application process? Okay. All right. Well, reach out to us. You can contact us directly from our webpage too. So.
All right, so now I am going to turn it over. I have two students that are here today to just talk about their experience, but also you guys can ask some questions. These are some fun pictures because our students do have fun. We don't make them work all the time, but so I just thought it'd be good for you all to get a student perspective, and I will be happy to answer any questions at the end, more like if you're asking about the application process. But these are some of our students out at their clinical sites, and then some in the classroom, cadaver lab. This was actually one of the scholarship luncheons, so you get to have a good free meal because you got a scholarship. So I have Adair Ragsdale and Dan Corson here, and so they are going to come up and just share some information. So come on up. They're both second-year students, so they've been through their first year.
All right, so I'm obviously Daniel. I'm in that picture right there. So my clinical rotation right now is with the Jags. We started with them in April through like mini camp, OTAs, and then my immersive experience was all through training camp. And now I'm with them for the whole regular season. So it is pretty cool. I also did a college. I did JU men's lacrosse, and then was to high school for my first rotation. So I graduated in 2015 from University of Kansas with an exercise science degree. I had the whole PT track idea. I worked in a couple of hospitals. I wasn't really feeling being inside all the time and in a hospital. So when they started the AT program, I did some research. I did my observation hours. I bothered Dr. Boling a lot, involving like prereqs, what I needed to do to get in. And after, 50 to 75 hours of observation, I decided, hey, I like this. I want to be outside. Let me apply. They thankfully accepted me, but they're great. All of our preceptors are really awesome. I still stay in touch with both of mine from the high school and from the college that I was at. They've both written me letters of recommendation for different scholarships, different jobs, things like that. The courses, starting with anatomy, I've been out of school for 3 years. When we started, having that first semester of anatomy it's nice. Our whole job relies on anatomy, and for me, not being in there, it was good. So eval classes was easier. Everything we do was so much easier thanks to that class. So it's fun, it's intense, but it is the perfect class to start with. I don't really have a whole lot else. If you guys have any questions about like the clinical rotation aspect or Adair,
Well, Derek can talk for a moment.
I know your voices.
I'm getting over my little cold, so excuse me. I'm Adair. I am in that picture, and this one. I take a lot of pictures. So, excuse me. Right now, I am at Bishop Kenny High School. I was at, last fall, I was at Nice High School. And over this spring, I was at JU Women's Lacrosse. Great clinical sites. I was also with the Jags during the OTAs and everything. Our whole class was able to experience that. It was amazing. I graduated last year, so 2018, from Coastal Carolina. I figured out I wanted to do athletic training because for my senior internship, we had to do like something in our fields related, and I found athletic training. And ever since I fell in love, I found this school, found these professors, and it was amazing. My favorite class definitely has to be gross. It was gross at first, so trust me, that's why I'm wearing the mask. I'm very dramatic when it comes to like the smell. But it was a great class. Like he said, our whole career revolves around anatomy. So if you don't know that, it's going to be difficult for you to like get it going and really enjoy it and really be successful in that career. You
You want to tell them about you are part of that LEAPS program?
Oh yes, so LEAPS program is a leadership program with ATAF, which is like a conference, right?
It's the state association.
State association, yeah. So that program was year long from last October to July of this year. And we had symposiums, we did activities, we went to the Kennedy Space Shuttle. Did I say that correctly this time?
Kennedy Space Center.
Yes. I always say it wrong. And we had like a team bonding, meeting new people from like different schools, and really just enhancing our leadership skills. And networking is a great opportunity to network. I met a lot of them also at CETA, which is like our student convention in Atlanta every year in February, which is another great opportunity for networking. I'm also a graduate assistantship for our program. So I worked last year with Dr. Buckley and another professor, Dr. Beam, and I helped them with research or whatever assignments they would like me to help with. Now I'm with Dr. Boling, and it helps because I'm out of state and I'm from South Carolina, so it helps me with in-state tuition, which is great, and as well as like a week or every 2 week stipend. So that helps a lot with tuition wise.
So, do y'all have any questions for student perspective? Anything you want to ask?
That's all right. We didn't have any questions. I was here like a year and a half ago when you guys had like the first meeting and stuff. I don't really know what to expect I didn't know what to ask. It seems like we answer everything for the most part.
We can talk all day. So.
Cool. No questions? Nothing? Nothing that you want to ask in front of me?
Not one.
And we're right there.
Yeah.
So when this ends, if you guys have another question or think of one.
Okay, so that is all the information we wanted to share. We just wanted to make sure you had a decent understanding of our program. I didn't get into all the nitty-gritty, but I'm happy to talk about the nitty-gritty with you all. But I do think there are some awesome opportunities for funding, which you don't always find. And so I understand grad school, it can be expensive. And so I hope if you apply here that you take advantage for applying for some of those funding opportunities that are available. And I don't have anything else to share. But if you all have any questions for me, I'll take them now, just in case it would be for the greater good. Yeah.
So you did talk about professional teams. Do you guys think you will try to broaden a little more? So from going to the Jags over to, I think we have the indoor Sharks team too for football, as well as the Icemen. You guys are trying to work on that?
We have broadened it all. There's a lot that goes into it, right? So we want to make sure that you're being supervised by somebody that wants to supervise you, for one, right? But also that team has to prove that students are there. And so I can tell you the background on things. The Sharks, one thing that's hard with the Sharks is their season. Because a lot of times they're going to go through into the summer, right? Iceman season would work well for us. I can talk about that without the camera. I mean, yes, we pursue any opportunity. Let me say that we pursue opportunities with professional teams. The Jacksonville Armada, the soccer team, we used to have an affiliation agreement with them, but now that I don't even know if they've found another league yet. But when they started going through that process, the athletic trainer at that time had left. And so we know the new athletic trainer that is there, but he currently does not want a student.
Okay.
So we do pursue opportunities like that for sure. And a lot of times people are coming to us asking for students. I think the Sharks would love to have a student. It just, from a schedule standpoint, it hasn't worked well with their season. Yeah. So, but I will say, you guys are, if you are admitted, we are very fortunate for the relationship we have with the Jaguars, because they, so we have 6 students that were with them this past summer. The summer before that, they took 10 for OTAs and rookie minicamp. So we have a close relationship with them, and we have 2 alumni that are on their staff, and so that helps. Any other questions? Yeah.
Since it is rolling admission, the later you apply, does that affect your acceptance rate?
It does not. It should not. It has not in the past. Let me say that. It has not. It has not. However, it is good for students to stay in contact with me. You know, I'd want to have a good understanding as to why you may be applying late, too, if you really want to be admitted to this program. But it has not in the past affected students being admitted at that time. We still have a lot of people that are applying. Our deadline is April 1st, and so we still have people applying, you know, around that time. But typically I'm in touch with, or they're in touch with me, and so I know maybe why they're waiting on a letter of rec or something like that. But that's why I say the earlier you start it, the less stress you're going to have in the end. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So the last is just, that's a little small, but if you have not reached out to me via email or have not received an email from me, make sure you write my email down. But you're welcome to email me at any time. If I don't respond within a 24 to 48 hour period, let me know. Feel free to ping me again. But I'm happy to meet with you if you want to come meet in my office or anything like that, happy to do that too. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys, for coming. We appreciate it.